Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing so far, and it's time to start cutting firewood. So I do have my protection gear with me, my hard hat with my ear protection, safety glasses, and gloves. When you're cutting firewood, and specifically, again, I'm back here by myself, so I have to be extremely careful. But I've got a couple things I'm going to show you you probably haven't seen before. At least one of them I know you haven't. And we are going to saw this up. This is where we were tree tipping the other day. These are the logs that we have laid down. I'm going to show you a couple of things that make it a little easier for you. I hope you enjoy the video, and thanks for watching. Alright guys, the first thing we're going to do is fuel and oil our saw. And if you haven't seen how to sharpen one of these, check out the other video that shows you how to sharpen a chainsaw. Grab our oil first. You always want to start fresh here. That way once you get started working, you're not having to stop to do this, something you should have already have been doing before you got started. Get a little bit of fire water in here. We're also going to check and make sure our chain is at the proper tension, and that's pretty good to start. As this warms up, you start using it and cutting wood. These things will stretch, or from the heat they expand. So always keep your chain pretty tight, otherwise you wear your bar out. It makes the saw harder to go through the wood, and you're just fighting yourself. So again, keep a good tension on your chain once you've got everything warmed up and you start cutting wood. And let's get on with the next tip of the day. Alright guys, here's our first tip for the day. Probably something you haven't seen before. But if you have one of these, an old style bumper jack, what you can do when you have a log laying down this, in order to elevate it, to get it up to a working height that is comfortable for you, or even if you need to move it away from something, these little guys work fabulously. On a bigger log like this, I can actually pick this one up, but I'm going to demonstrate this for you. But on a bigger log, you don't want to have to wrestle with it. And if you need a lifting pole, what you can do is just cut down one of these smaller trees, use your chainsaw, something already available to you, and cut you a lever and put a block of wood back here, wedge it underneath, lift it up to get the jack started. And all we're going to do is set this right underneath here and tip it forward a little bit. I do have a short chain I use to do this. I'm going to bring it right over the top of the jack here. And then just simply hook the chain back to itself. Try to keep it snug. Put the jack in the lift position and start lifting it up. Now this thing's going to want to pull this direction, and if you have a bigger log, what you can do, again, take your saw and cut a small tree limb 4 or 5 inches in diameter and cut a notch in it and wedge it from the top of your jack down to the ground, and that will hold this stationary. Just simply lift it up. Now, if I want to make this safer, it's going to stand by itself, but if I want to make this safer for myself, I can cut me a block of wood and actually set it underneath back here under the log, and then have this and remove this out of the way so I can just simply start sawing it up. Okay, I hope that tip's great for you, because it really does make a hard job easier. And lift this guy up, and again, I can saw this just the way it is, right up to my the lift point here, and then remove the jack and go back further on the log should I need to lift it up some more. Alright, and then on with the next tip. Alright guys, this is our second tip. What I have here is, this is just simply an old shovel handle that I have cut to 20 inches. I'm going to use this as a gauge to mark the firewood should I want to keep something consistent. That way when you're stacking it in rank piles, everything is uniform and easier to stack for you. A magnet attached to the end of it, and all you have to do is simply attach that to your chain and scribe the wood as you go down through here. Let me get that guy stuck on there pretty good. And I would use that as my guide to mark from this end to where my chain's at, and just simply put scribe marks all the way down the log. And then when I am ready to cut firewood, remove this, and now I have uniform sized firewood that I can stack into a pile. So again, a shovel handle, a magnet, you can use PVC, you can use a smaller diameter stick or anything you want, but the magnet, straight to the bar, and it's just that simple. I hope that one makes it easier for you. Alright, let's cut some wood. Alright guys, typically what I will do with my firewood until I'm ready to use it is I'm going to stack it around the base of a tree. I always try to keep it pointing up, that way the rain sheds off of it, snow or anything like that. Now as far as splitting wood, the smartest way I've figured out to split wood is ask your neighbor to do it. And if he's not willing to, maybe a buddy. If not, I guess we ain't going to think our way out of this one, and we may as well just do it, right? Here we go. Why Granny Jill run out of the house this morning when I asked her to come and cut firewood with me. She wasn't going to do this. Alright guys, this old man needs a break. I'm working too hard. Thanks for watching, and I hope this has helped you in some way.